the strategy had 4 pillars. We were trying to improve access to capital, and using that, we developed a $2 million loan guarantee program. So one of my colleagues here I met yesterday said when government gives $1 million, they will say plenty times, and this is 100 times I'm saying talking about this $2 million loan guarantee. So, but yes, we created a loan guarantee through the Co-op Council. It's $2 million, but the idea is to provide some flexibility, because we know that social enterprises, if they go to a bank, they will struggle to access loans. But through this loan guarantee, it makes it easier. And one of the things also we decided to do was to work on a procurement policy. So for example, for government, to preferentially procure goods and services from social enterprises at a threshold of $10,000. So this is something very small, but maybe it is significant. And then we decided to work with academia to promote a culture of social entrepreneurship. So we work with universities, and they can organize young people, students, and disengaged youth, and they can brainstorm during weekends and come up with creative solutions that can address social ills in communities. And we also, part of the strategy, we wanted to look at the regulative, policy, regulatory and policy environment. This has been very, very difficult, because I think one of the things we realize is whatever you want to do provincially will be trumped by the federal regulations. So we thought maybe we will be creating a Pandora box by trying to look at, what are the policy regulations, of operating a social enterprise, when in fact you guys are doing the thing in the community. So we leave it with the, the sector, and maybe the federal government can work on this kind of thing. So that's it with the strategy. We've had some challenges, and I think one of them I would like to talk about is that the sector is not organized in the community. So, but maybe this is a good thing, I don't know. Maybe they don't need to be organized, because we have some experiences, and I'm going to be a little bit critical here. For example, we know that there are some grassroots movements that have grown, and then sometimes they have lost their initial objectives. And I will talk about Desjardins, for example. Maybe it started as a very grassroots, co-op movement, but now it's maybe a multi-billion-dollar, and maybe their CEO will earn millions of dollars. So you might think that, they have become detached from, the initial objectives. So maybe it's a good thing that the sector is not being structured, but maybe this is a problem in terms of helping government to work with the sector. So this is one challenge that we have. The other thing is, I want you guys to keep thinking about, because I sit in government and I influence policies, I influence financial allocations, and sometimes I'm thinking that maybe social enterprises have to confront a stigma of mediocrity, economic mediocrity. Maybe, maybe it should not just be about food banks. Food banks are good, don't get me wrong. I had a chat with Stefan from Edmonton, and I think food banks are very good, but maybe let's think about something big in terms of changing society, So, because I think from within government we start to think that social enterprises are just about, working with people with intellectual disability, but you guys create good paying jobs, I think you need to find a way maybe to articulate what you do. Perhaps this is the best expression on this. Find a way to explain clearly, how you are trying to change society, in a very impactful way that people in government can understand, And I think you have an obligation to convince people, policymakers in the private sector and the government, to understand clearly what is it that you want to do, outside of that stigma of mediocrity. And I think it's one challenge that I would like you to think about. And lastly, I think recently in government, I started to listen to some colleagues that said, let's treat social enterprise as small business, And I would like to see what do people think about this kind of approach. But it's a policy position within government. The reason why I'm buying that is maybe this will allow social enterprises to have access to greater resources, more resources, if we treat you as small business. In this case, in Nova Scotia, for example, you can apply for, you have more toolboxes that you can play with. But maybe this comes with other barriers as well. But This is something that you guys who are in this ecosystem, you can think about. As government, we don't want to have the last word. We just want to stimulate the conversation. And I will conclude by telling you about Hope Blooms. And maybe many of you, if you watch Dragon's Den, so this is a small, garden in the heart of Halifax that was created by, it's in a neighborhood that is infested with poverty, with crime, all the things you can think about. And these kids with a dietitian, they got together and they create this little garden that is growing. If you watch, if you Google Hope Blooms, you will see the little video clips what they've won on Dragon's Den. The reason why I'm trying to talk about Hope Blooms as a way of concluding my point here is that as government, all we try to do, I think, is to create an environment of creativity, of innovation. So in Hope Blooms, I have government, we only gave them maybe $9,000 last year, as I can remember. But that $9,000 investment, I realized on the occasion of Dragon's Den, attracted $40,000. So we just put in little money. But more than that, you know what? It attracted a lot of publicity. I went to an event, and there was the president of ACOA was supposed to speak, before me. And I noticed that the president of ACOA was talking about Hope Blooms, Hope Blooms, Hope Blooms, And myself, I went to the podium, it's Hope Blooms, and it's Hope Blooms, Why? Because it is, evidence of success, So, we government, we just want to create that environment where creativity can flourish, and people can articulate clearly what they want to do. As a government, we took advantage of the Hope Blooms success because we saw it as a good way of explaining what you guys can do in the community, and then you can have the last word, as Hope Blooms does. They have the last word on national television. So I will conclude my points here, and if you have questions, I will be happy to answer you. Thank you very much.